All right, to deal with this one, I'm going to deal with everything inside of my parentheses first. I'm going to deal with the fraction and each base. So there's a single base before I even start dealing with this negative third. So first I'm going to reduce this fraction. Negative 7 divided by negative 20, or divided by a positive 21, is going to be negative 1 over 3. There's going to be other stuff that I'm going to deal with. So then I'm going to keep making this longer, and all of it's still going to be raised to the negative third power. First, I'm going to deal with my x's, and they're dividing. So I'm going to have that x to the, or my power rule says if I have an a to the power of n divided by a to the power of m, that's going to be equal to a to the power of n minus m. So I'm basically subtracting the exponents from each other. So if I have an x to the power of 5 over x to the power of 3, I'm going to subtract those. 5 minus 3 is 2, so x squared is going to be that. Y is next. Y to the power of 5 divided by y to the power of 5. Anything divided by itself is going to be 1, but also if we follow our power rules, that's going to be 5 minus 5 is 0, and we know that anything to the power of 0 is going to be 1. So I'm not even going to write that because 1 times anything is just itself. And then we deal with our z's. Z to the power of 4 divided by z to the power of 2 is going to be 4 minus 2, which is going to be z squared. So this is what's on the inside of my fraction. And now I'm going to distribute this negative 3 to each component inside of the fractions. So first, I'm going to have a negative 1 to the power of negative 3. And then I'm going to have my x squared to the power of negative 3. And then I'm going to have my z squared to the power of negative 3 all over 3 to the power of negative 3. Do I like negative exponents? No. That's the next thing I'm going to deal with. It says 1 over a to the power of negative n is going to be equal to a to the power of positive n. So I just move the fraction either to the top, or if it's on the top, it's going to be equal to 1 over a to that positive fraction. So if I see a negative exponent, I'm going to move it down to the bottom of the fraction or onto the top, wherever it's at. So the negative 1 to the power of a negative 3 is going to be on the bottom of my fraction, negative 1 cubed. And then so everything is just going to move. The x squared to the negative 3 is going to be x squared to the positive 3, and z squared is also going to be to the positive 3, but again, these things are moving to the bottom of my fraction. And that 3 is going to move up 3 to the positive 3. And now I'm going to deal with the other, the power to a power, which means that I'm going to use the rule that says a to the power of n raised to the power of m is going to be equal to a to the power of n times m. So I'm multiplying those two together. So let's deal with the numbers. 3 cubed is 27, so that's what we're going to have on top, over negative 1 cubed is going to be negative 1. And then we deal with our power rule. X squared to the power of 3, we multiply those together. 2 times 3 is 6. That's going to be x to the 6th. And then the z is going to be, again, 2 times 3, z to the power of 6. And this is the final answer. You probably don't have to write the 1, but it's not wrong if you do.